Welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk About Human Rights, the show in which we discuss all things related to human rights. I'm your host, Jules Allender, and I am part of the California chapter of Youth for Human Rights International. Youth for Human Rights International's purpose is to help educate everyone on what human rights are, specifically the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, and more importantly, inspire the youth of today as our leaders of tomorrow to stand up for these rights. For each show, we like to take up one right and try to broaden your understanding of how this right is important to you and your loved ones. For today's show, we will be looking at human right number 3, the right to life, which states everyone has the right to life, liberty, and security of person. Let's go ahead and take a look at a short video about this specific human right.
It greeted you at birth. It was there for your first step, your first mistake, your first kiss. It's with you when you win, when you lose, when you pick yourself up again. In every moment, you can feel it. Life. Human right number 3, the right to life. What are human rights? Find out at youthforhumanrights.org.
The right to life should be thought of as incredibly expansive, big, broad, and encompassing. The right to live, the right to experience, the right to succeed and to fail, and then pick yourself up and give it another shot. All the things we do within a life are included. The right to entangle ourselves with others, our friends, our families, and experience them as they experience their right to life. Also included in this right is the right to liberty. Liberty is a word thrown around a lot, but seems to be little understood. Some try and pervert the meaning as if it is something that they grant to you, and of course, if they grant it, then they can take it away. In the dictionary, liberty is defined this way: the positive enjoyment of various social, political, or economic rights and privileges, the power of choice. I think the power of choice best describes liberty as a human right. Liberty is really the act of living life as you choose. If you feel the power of choice in the decisions that you make, then you are experiencing liberty. Of course, when you live within a community of people, there are going to be agreements that are made to keep everyone moving in the same direction. As an example, a stop sign on a busy street. We all agree we should stop and look for other cars. But the first agreement that needs to be made is that you want to live in that community. This is when you would most thoroughly experience the power of choice. You are deciding to live within the mores of that group. In order to do that and have your full expression of liberty, you must know and understand the rules, the regulations that you are agreeing to first. This sounds involved, and it is, but it is at the bottom of many, if not most, complications we experience in our society. Someone who lives amongst us has not agreed or is not in agreement with the rules the rest of us have agreed to. But this is liberty. It is the power of choice. The final aspect of this human right is the security of person. Security in this sense means to be free from danger. Why would this idea be part of the right to life? Because others do not have the right to endanger your life or your family's life within their actions, to put you in a continuous condition of fear. Fear of being robbed, fear of being hurt, of your children being hurt. You have a right to be and feel secure in your home, at your place of work, and on the street in your community. And neither do you have any right to endanger another. Blowing through a stop sign because no other car was there is not a right you enjoy. You agreed to stop and look, and that is what everyone living around you expects you to do. To do otherwise is to take away the other's community member's right to security. My guest today is a community activist who started with a small idea of empowering children and has grown it into an international movement. Irene was inspired to found Kidpower after a frightening incident in 1985. As she was leading a group of small children on a field trip, a man charged towards them and threatened to take one of the children. Irene put herself between the man and the children, including her own son and daughter, and shouted. With the help of bystanders, she forced the attacker to leave. The children were unhurt and soon recovered, but Irene was shaken and determined to do something to help people, especially children, build the skills and confidence to take charge of their own safety. And with that, I'd like to welcome Irene to our show. Irene, welcome. Welcome, Irene. How are you? It's a pleasure to have you.
It's great to be here. Thank you so much.
Excellent. Well, I'm excited to get into this interview and just going back to that incident. So that incident occurred in the mid-'80s. That's been about 38 years later. What have you been up to?
Well, having that experience, as you said, left me with a lot of fear and questions, like what if he knocked me down? Or what if he tried to touch even one of those children? And I wasn't sure how I would stop him or how I would keep them safe. So I took a self-defense class for myself, and that answered the first question. The first two questions. My next question was, what about the unprotected children he went on probably to assault? So I gathered with many wonderful people, many parents, educators, mental health experts, child safety experts, and self-defense experts. And we started Kidpower as a nonprofit in 1989. And we have continued to add, to expand our meaning of what it means to be safe, not just from abduction, because what happened with me was the rare event, but also with from abuse and bullying. And we learned as we gathered people and started teaching with very small classes at first, at taking and adding ideas and information, that not only did the skills we were teaching help to prevent harm, but when you add boundary setting, help seeking, and emotional safety skills, and communication skills, these skills also helped children and adults to be able to develop safe and strong relationships that reduce isolation, protect mental health, and add joy and meaning and success to their lives. So since then, we are now in many different countries around the world. We have been translated into different languages, and we have served over 8 million children, teens, and adults, including people with disabilities, through workshops, both in person and online, through our educational resources, and through partnerships.
Wow, that is incredible. Such a large feat to tackle and take on, and quite a responsibility, but quite a care factor there to go ahead and develop that for children, teens, and adults. And so you touched a bit upon what your program produces. Can you fill me in a little bit more on what the workings are of it, and if how one gets enrolled or involved and whatnot?
Well, people can, we have a tremendous amount of free resources on our website at kidpower.org. And these are showing how to teach safety skills to people, to children and teens and vulnerable adults, how to learn these skills for yourself. The skills themselves are how to be an act aware, how to notice trouble and move away from it, how to set boundaries on touch, teasing, and play, how to be very persistent in getting help from people in positions of authority, how to protect your feelings so that you don't let what somebody says or does make you miserable and cause you to make unsafe choices, and of course, self-defense. So these are the kinds of skills we teach. We teach families with parents and kids together. We teach individuals. A lot of our programs and services are with women or elderly people or people with disabilities, but we also just work with the general public and schools. We work with youth serving organizations and and we go in and we provide training, we teach the people, we talk about all having a common ground so that everybody, say around a child or a young person, is on the same page about what safety means and what the rules are, so that they are, somebody's not contradicting this. If we say to a child, you have the right to decide whether or not you're kissed or hugged, that everybody agrees with that right. And that involves educating adults to uphold that right, for example. So that's just a little bit about what.
Well, for you stating that's a little bit, that's quite in depth and quite a lot of services. So that's great. And you may have answered this question, but I'm going to go ahead and ask it anyways. We know that you also help teens, and I'm just curious if that or how does that differ from young children?
Well, teens and young adults are more independent, more sometimes, and of course, in many different cultures, they might be fully dependent or on their own or helping support their family or family members. And teens, and so we need to respect that. And teens, I say the skills are the same no matter how old or how young you are. However, what changes are some of our abilities, some of the problems we might encounter, and so some of our life situations and circumstances. So we adapt our program. The skills stay the same. Being aware starts from as soon as you can see a baby start to become aware, and they know where their parents are. They know where food might be coming from. And it continues from there. But how you use your awareness, where you use it, it changes. So that's how we address it for teens. We listen to people, whether it's teens or people from different cultures. They educate us about what they're dealing with, and then we show them how to apply these skills to their specific situation.
Wow, that's incredible.
And we coach people so that there's, if you just talk about all the bad things that might happen or that do happen, it makes you anxious without making you safer.
Mm-hmm.
And so we rehearse, we coach people, teens and everybody, but we coach people to be successful in practicing skills in situations that are relevant to their lives.
Yeah, amazing. Beautiful skills to have to go ahead and be successful as one is growing up and continue in society.
Yeah.
So you had mentioned earlier that your organization is now worldwide, and that in itself is definitely quite a feat. And so this alone tells me you're feeling an actual need, right? And so my question is what have you found is needed in society to keep children safe?
Well, adult leadership is essential to child safety. It's the foundation of child safety. We can teach kids everything, but if they have to go to school, then adults are responsible for making sure that they're safe at school. We can teach people, and often do, how to stay safe in an unsafe situation, whether it's in a domestic violence situation they can't leave, or in homes where it might not be illegal what's happening, but it's unsafe. And how do you take care of your feelings? How do you keep yourself whole and as well as possible? How do you disengage in a way that doesn't escalate the problem? And how do you get help?
Yeah, excellent. And what cities are you located in currently?
We're more than cities. Because especially now that we're doing so much work online, Kidpower is everywhere. I mean, we are, At the beginning of the pandemic, we were about to teach 10,000 people in person in California.
Wow.
And what happened was that the result of the pandemic was we were forced to go online. And there was a huge response. And people said, "Oh, thank heavens you're online." They've been asking us for years. And now we can have Kid Power any place there's an internet connection. We have active centers in California, in Illinois, in Colorado, in Vermont, and North Carolina, and Virginia, in Nepal, Bangladesh, Ecuador. I'm sure I'm going to leave somebody out. Uh, uh, Argentina, Guatemala, India, New Zealand, we Sweden, and Germany, and so, but people are using our skills, and we're providing trainings everywhere. In this past couple of weeks, I have provided a training in Iran for a university there, a training with people in for the Coalition for Good Schools in with all of Asia, which is a lot of schools, and with our Bangladesh, India, and Nepal centers, and a training in New Zealand, all in this last couple of weeks, right from where I am right now.
Amazing.
And we have instructors. We have over 200 certified instructors who are in different parts of the world and the country, and they're teaching in their own communities as well.
Yeah, that's absolutely incredible that you're able to reach so far and give such important skills to children, teens, and adults, so that they can again be successful and not have that fear and, have that confidence, one could say, of safety of person, right? Of their right to life. So,
yes, that's right. Everybody has the right to be safe, to be treated with safety and respect. And everyone has the responsibility to act safely and respectfully towards ourselves and others.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I would love to hear if you could tell me some of the personal successes that you've had while working with and in Kid Power.
Well, a lot of the successes might seem small because when you look at prevention, sometimes it's just pushing somebody's hand away and saying, "Stop." We hear lots of stories about people feeling empowered, saying, "Now I know how to take care of myself. Now I know what to do to be safe." And we hear lots of stories in schools where kids will say, instead of, getting into fights, kids will say, "Stop." The other child will listen and they'll walk away.
Wow.
And the fight that didn't happen, it's not that dramatic, but it's great.
Yeah.
And we have had kids be safe from abduction, many times where we hear, as my child was walking home from school or walking to school or waiting at the bus stop, and somebody came up in a car that they didn't know and tried to get them to go with them, and they ran. And normally they would have, and ran to safety. Normally they would have not known what to do. They might have done what an adult told them to do. We've heard stories about families speaking up about abuse instead of keeping it a secret and stopping the abuse and getting help. Lots of parents tell us they go into the store, a huge store with their young kids, and the kids, instead of saying, just going with them, will say, "What's our safety plan if we get lost?" And so they make a plan. And then if their kids do get lost, it takes all the panic out of it. They just know where to go in that specific place and what to do. And they wait there, and their folks come and find them. So that's just a few examples. A lot of it is about emotional safety too, though, where people just say, well, adults, parents will say, "This gives me peace of mind." But people of all ages will say, I saw that this person was crossing my boundaries, And I knew how to speak up in a way that didn't make things worse, it made things better. I knew how to persist and get them to listen. Or there was a lots of negativity, so much negativity on the news now. And people would say, I'm now know I can screen out the negativity so I can focus on what I can do, the useful information. Because if you're just drowning in negativity, it's not emotionally safe. But if you focus on one thing you can do, then it helps your mental health. It helps you feel safe. And it also gives you something that makes things better.
Yeah, those are absolutely amazing successes. It as you were talking and you had said, it's so simple, but yet the simplicity prevents such a horrific thing that could happen to a child or an adult, right? Losing their child. About them being able to have the confidence and be positive over of stopping fights or stopping someone from touching them or, invading their personal space. It's just, in my opinion and from my viewpoint of, being out in society and working with children and the hundreds of people that we've interviewed on this show, it creates such a large effect that you and your organization are educating the youth on what their rights are. Not only educating, but giving them the abilities that they're applying it, that they understand it, right? Your organization is truly and utterly leading society's new generation in understanding what those rights are and having the responsibility. So, it gives me so much joy to hear those stories and whatnot. So very, very, very well done.
Well, thank you. We say that for change to happen, if you think about a chair or a table, it needs at least 3 legs to be stable, right? If you have only 2 legs, it topples over. The same thing is about taking care of ourselves and about change or about behavior. And you need understand awareness of what's going on.
Yep.
And you need understanding of why doing something about it is important. And then you need the skills to act on your awareness and understanding.
Yeah.
And that's what we do.
Beautiful. Again, just tremendous. So thank you. And all those kids and families and society is very fortunate for what you've done over the last 30 plus years. And I'm sure you're going to keep it going.
Well, I really appreciate your support and your enthusiasm. Be happy to, we've got a video. I can give you a link to where people could watch it, or you can show it to show people. We put together a video of our International Kidpower Center instructors teaching in person in schools and with organizations from around the world. And it would be really I think it's a fun short video, and it really gives a very clear picture of many of the skills we teach.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll go ahead and get that video. So to all of our viewers, you can see that video at the end of the interview here with Irene.
Wonderful.
Excellent. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
And then if people have questions, they can email us at safety@kidpower.org. We answer questions. Our website is kidpower.org. It can be overwhelming to have so much on the website. So if you can't find something, let us know. Or if you have a safety problem, let us know. We can't solve it for you, but we can help you find ways to get help.
Beautiful. Yeah. Definitely reach out for anyone who's interested, 1, in getting the information, and 2, in volunteering and or helping. As we continue to interview, and I'm sure as you've have experienced, right, the need for help for more individuals, more groups, more people to get involved and fight for not only their human rights, but for others.
Yes, thank you so much. And I appreciate the good work you're doing. It's really important.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Irene. It was great talking to you today and hearing your story. As you shared with our viewers, definitely they can reach out to you via email or on your website. Was there any other contact information or any last message you'd love to share with our audience?
Yes, well, we are active on Instagram and Facebook, so that's another place to find us. We appreciate people liking and sharing our, we want people to use our work and to benefit from it. And we have a wonderful community of people. So if you're interested in joining us, we'd love to have you.
Absolutely. Everyone, please go ahead and make sure you check out Kidpower on their website, and please reach out to Irene and her staff if you'd love to get involved. And that's our show for this week. I hope you enjoyed today's episode as always, and learning about such an important topic for youth, for teens, for adults to go ahead and keep themselves and others safe around them. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us directly. You can catch us on all the social media channels, Facebook at Youth for Human Rights California, Instagram and Twitter handles are at YHRCAL. Thank you. Until next time, I will see you then.